Long ago, in a small peaceful village, there lived a merchant named Ramu. Every day, he traveled to the city to sell items like sugar, grains, and clothes. He earned his living honestly and returned home by evening. Ramu owned a donkey named Bolu, who was simple-minded, hard-working, but also a bit lazy and innocent. Ramu loaded all his goods on Bolu's back and depended entirely on him for daily transport to the city. Every morning, Ramu placed 2 large sacks on Bolu's back, and together they started their journey. Many times, the sacks were filled with salt, which was extremely heavy. On their way, they always had to cross a narrow, slippery bridge built over a flowing river. Bolu crossed it daily, but due to the weight, he would struggle and feel exhausted. Life continued this way until one day something unexpected happened. One day, when Bolu was carrying extremely heavy sacks filled with salt, his tired legs slipped on the slippery bridge. Before he could balance himself, he fell into the river with a loud splash. Ramu panicked and shouted for him, worried that he might get hurt. But Bolu quickly managed to stand up and walk to the riverbank safely. As he got back onto the path, he suddenly noticed something surprising. The load on his back felt much lighter than before. What he didn't know immediately was that the sacks of salt had soaked in the water, and the salt dissolved completely. As a result, the bags were almost empty. Bolu felt relieved and extremely happy. It was the first time he had felt such comfort while carrying a load. This small accident planted a clever but mischievous idea in his mind. The next morning, Ramu again loaded the heavy salt bags on Bolu's back and they began their usual journey. As soon as they reached near the river and stepped onto the slippery bridge, Bolu remembered the relief he felt the previous day. Acting on this new trick, he intentionally jumped into the river again and pretended it was an accident. The salt dissolved once more, and he felt light and relaxed. Bolu thought he had discovered the perfect shortcut to escape hard work. He repeated this trick not just once but for 3 to 4 continuous days. Every time he fell into the river, the heavy salt disappeared, and he walked comfortably. But Ramu was an experienced man. Watching Bolu's pattern, he soon understood that the donkey was being clever on purpose and was reducing the load by dissolving the salt. Though Ramu realized that Bolu had become cunning, he didn't scold him immediately. Instead, he remained quiet and planned to teach him a lesson he would never forget. One morning, Ramu filled the sacks not with salt, but with soft cotton. Cotton is extremely light when dry but becomes very heavy after absorbing water. Bolu, unaware of the plan, felt relieved when the sacks seemed unusually light that day. Thinking the trick would work again, he walked confidently toward the bridge. The moment they reached the river, Bolu repeated his old method. He intentionally slipped and dropped himself into the water. Ramu watched patiently. Bolu expected to feel lighter, but instead, something very different was about to happen. As soon as Bolu came out of the river, he felt an enormous weight pulling him down. The cotton had absorbed huge amounts of water and had become heavier than salt. Bolu began to gasp, struggling to move even a few steps. The light sacks he enjoyed moments earlier had now turned into heavy loads that were almost impossible to carry. His legs trembled, and he realized his trick had backfired badly. Ramu looked at him seriously and said, "Bolu, shortcuts don't work every time. If you try to escape hard work, life will become even more difficult." These words struck Bolu deeply. He finally understood that taking the easy way out could lead to bigger problems and that dishonesty always brings trouble in the end. From that day onward, Bolu never again tried to trick Ramu by jumping into the river. He had learned his lesson the hard way. He realized that cleverness without honesty only brings pain and trouble. With a changed attitude, Bolu started walking sincerely every day, carrying the goods to the city with patience and responsibility. Ramu was pleased to see the transformation, and their daily work became smoother again. Bolu understood that hard work brings respect and that experience teaches stronger lessons than shortcuts ever can. The incident became a lifelong reminder that one small wrong habit can grow into a big problem if not corrected. From then on, Bolu remained loyal, hardworking, and honest, ensuring that Ramu's goods reached the city safely every single day.